from the business desk. You're watching France 24 live from Paris. Time now for the French press review. For the French press review, we're joined in the studio by Florence Villemot. Thank you very much for coming in. We've got, once again, a second day, really, of reaction to the situation in Syria and that alleged use of the chemical weapons by the Damascus regime. What have the French papers got to say? Well,
there's a lot of outrage in the French press that it seems like Syria might get away with this, and this is on the front page of Libération that talks about impunity in Syria. And you see a photo here of the funeral of one of those alleged victims in that chemical arms attack. Now, in its editorial, Libération says there's no proof of that this was indeed a chemical attack, but there's every reason to believe it was, and it really lashes out against the West for being powerless. And it says that a symbol of this is that this alleged attack took place 5 minutes from where that UN team is investigating other alleged uses of chemical weapons. And Libération says that the West is really sitting on its hands, not only in Syria, but also in Egypt. And all this is encouraging Bashar al-Assad. It says in this editorial that al-Assad can continue massacring in peace. He can continue destroying his country in all impunity. Le Figaro, the right-leaning newspaper, is also very, very critical of the West and says that the West is very paralyzed in the face of this atrocity. And this is proof that the West has lost all its influence in the region. Le Figaro says the red line has already been crossed, and not only has it already been crossed, it's drowning in blood. And another line that was crossed in that attack is that of the West's incoherence.
Pretty much a unified response there from both the left and the right-wing papers here in France. Staying with Le Figaro, and they perhaps have information as to what may have perhaps driven Bashar al-Assad to use chemical weapons, if it is proven to be the case that it is what
That's
it is.
right. Le Figaro wonders, why did Bashar al-Assad, why did he opt for the worst strategy? Well, on the front page, you can read today that they say that the operation anti-Assad has begun. So this is according to Le Figaro's sources. They say that since mid-August, opposition forces have been making progress towards Damascus. And Le Figaro says that these rebel forces, that about 300 men, they have been trained in Jordan by American forces, and they're being supervised by Jordanian, Israeli, and American commandos. Now, according to Le Figaro, this offensive could perhaps explain why Bashar al-Assad would have been tempted to use chemical weapons. But you really have to take this information with a grain of salt, because this is according to Le Figaro. They don't really tell us what their sources are or give us very much evidence.
Okay, moving back to news here in France and the politics. They go on summer holiday and they have these université d'été, summer school, as they say. And the Socialist Party is having its own in La Rochelle on the west coast. That's kicking off today. What are the French papers making of that? Any blood there between brothers?
Yeah, that's right. It's the université. It's kind of like a big socialist convention where all the bigwigs come together and talk about the party line, etc. But there's going to be one major absence, and that is François Hollande. He has better things to do, like, run the country and everything. But he's made it very clear that he wants things to go smoothly. He doesn't want there to be any hiccups at La Rochelle. He wants the party to appear unified, especially in the lead up to next year's municipal election. So his message is no funny business. But there have been recent divisions within the Socialist Party, and L'Humanité, the communist newspaper, takes a closer look at all of them. What is dividing the left? That's on the front page of L'Humanité. Well, the list is rather long, but, it's the usual suspects: pension reform, the budget, etc.
Okay, and Hollande also wants his own party to appear more unified. Libération is taking a look at different clans that do exist.
That's right. Libération says that the summer school is actually a playing field for the Socialist Party. And they have this little graphic here that shows a lot of the socialists looking like little football players. And you see the various teams with very familiar players, like you see the secretary of the Socialist Party, Martine Aubry, Interior Minister Manuel Valls, even Ségolène Royal, Hollande's former partner. All these people are jockeying for their position ahead of the municipal election.
Perhaps François Hollande will be wanting them to be pulling in the same direction rather than opposing directions, which has been the case sometimes. Finally, good news for the Tower of Pisa.
That's right. The Tower of Pisa is known for being leaning. It's the leaning Tower of Pisa. In Le Figaro, it points out that, it was leaning so much that a lot of people thought it was going to collapse. So there was construction work to stabilize it in 2003. Everyone was holding their breath. And 10 years later, not only is the tower stable, it's actually straightening up a little bit. Now, the construction work straightened it up by about 50 centimeters, but to the surprise of also everybody, all the architects, it's straightened up an additional 2.5 centimeters. But they say, don't worry, it will always be leaning, so you can take those cheesy photos.
They don't want to straighten up too much, otherwise no tourist will go to Pisa. Furthermore, Florence Villeminot, thank you very much. That was the French press review. And you are watching France 24 live from Paris. More news and headlines after the break. Do stay tuned.